Welcome to your deep dive, and today we're cracking open the 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's Machiavelli meets Sun Tzu
Hmm.
with a dash of con artistry, for good measure.
Right.
You sent over some intriguing excerpts,
Yeah.
and we're here to help you extract those nuggets of power wisdom.
Yeah, I love that.
Think of us as your guides through this human jungle.
That's a great way to put it. We're not here to pass judgment, but to understand
Right.
the often unspoken rules of the game.
Yeah.
How perception shapes reality, how desires can be manipulated, and why sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all.
Okay. Let's jump right in with Law 6, court attention at all cost.
Ooh.
This one immediately made me think about that story in the book about Count Lustig,
Ooh, yeah.
the con man who convinced people he could duplicate money.
Right.
He always carried around this massive mahogany box
Yeah.
and never let anyone see what was inside.
Oh, yes. Count Lustig, a master of mystique. What's brilliant about this tactic is how he used mystery to create a power imbalance.
Right.
When we can't figure someone out, it throws us off balance.
Yeah.
Even makes us feel a little inferior. That uncertainty puts the mysterious person in control.
And it's not just con men who use this, right?
Right.
Think about artists like Marcel Duchamp,
Yes.
who famously submitted a urinal as art.
That's right, yeah.
The mystery surrounding his intentions made his work all the more fascinating and debated.
Exactly. It's a reminder that a little bit of mystery can go a long way, whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or just someone looking to make a memorable impression. Think about how you can cultivate an aura of intrigue in your own life.
Right.
What subtle cues can you use to pique people's curiosity and leave them wanting more?
Speaking of strategic maneuvering, Law 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Takes this concept a step further.
Ooh, interesting.
It suggests that a well-placed act of kindness or honesty, like a Trojan horse, can make people drop their guard, even the most suspicious types.
It reminds me of the story in the book about P.T. Barnum,
Yes?
the master showman.
Uh-huh.
He was notorious for using tricks and illusions to captivate his audiences.
Right.
But he would often reveal his methods, almost bragging about his deceptions. And people loved him for it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's because he understood a fundamental truth about human nature. We tend to trust those who appear open and transparent.
Right.
A single act of generosity or a confession, even if calculated,
Yeah.
can overshadow a multitude of sins. It creates the illusion of vulnerability and builds trust.
So the key, of course, is to be selective.
Of course.
Don't be recklessly honest or overly generous.
Yeah.
It has to feel genuine and strategically timed to have the desired effect.
Exactly.
Now, this leads us to Law 13, which offers a practical approach to seeking help. It argues that appealing to someone's self-interest is far more effective than relying on past favors or gratitude. The book uses the historical example of the Athenians' decision to form an alliance with the island of Corcyra during the Peloponnesian War. Athens wasn't swayed by sentimentality or past aid.
Yeah.
They made a cold calculation based on what would benefit them most in their conflict with Corinth.
Right.
This reminds us that even in personal relationships, people are often motivated by self-interest. So next time you need help, consider framing your request in a way that highlights the benefit to the other person.
It makes sense.
What's in it for them? How can you make your request align with their goals and desires?
Good questions.
Shifting gears a bit, let's dive into Law 18. Isolation is dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
This one really hit home for me because it highlights how even those in positions of power can become vulnerable when they cut themselves off from the world.
It's so true.
The book tells the story of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi, who isolated himself in a magnificent palace, obsessed with immortality. In doing so, he lost touch with the realities of his empire and became increasingly paranoid, ultimately contributing to his downfall.
That's a classic case of how power can corrupt when unchecked by connection and feedback. We see this play out today in the echo chambers of social media where people isolate themselves with like-minded individuals and reinforce their own biases.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that connection is crucial, even for those at the top.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with diverse perspectives
Right.
and maintaining open channels of communication can help you stay grounded and avoid falling prey to your own delusions.
Building on this idea of staying connected, Law 26 cautions against using friends to do your dirty work.
Oh, this is a good one.
It's all about avoiding the cat's paw scenario.
Yes, the book uses that vivid fable about the monkey who uses a cat's paw to pull chestnuts out of a fire. It's a cautionary tale about how using a friend as a tool can not only ruin the friendship,
Right.
but also expose you to unnecessary risk.
If things go wrong, you're the one left holding the bag, and your friend is likely to feel betrayed and resentful. It's a reminder that true power comes from building genuine relationships, not exploiting them for personal gain.
That's right.
Now let's talk about timing. With Law 33, master the art of timing.
Oh yeah, timing is everything.
This one really resonated with me because it emphasizes the importance of patience and observation.
Right.
The book advises against appearing hurried because it signals a lack of control. Instead, we should be like detectives, patiently gathering information and waiting for the opportune moment to strike.
Yes.
There's a wonderful story in the book about Sendo Rikyu, the Japanese tea master,
Oh yes.
who instructed his student to sweep snow off the garden path.
Uh-huh.
But then at the last moment, he told his student to scatter a few leaves back onto the stones.
That's a good one.
It was a subtle act that demonstrated a mastery of timing and an appreciation for the beauty of imperfection. This lesson can be applied to everything, from negotiations to creative endeavors. Recognize that timing is everything. Don't rush into things. Be patient, observe, and wait for the right moment to make your move.
Love that.
Speaking of managing impulses, Law 36, disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Offers a powerful antidote to envy and unattainable desires. It tells the story of a duchess who became consumed without doing Louis XIV's palace.
Yeah.
Her obsession with what she couldn't have drove her to spend a fortune trying to create something even grander.
Right.
But it ultimately backfired.
Yeah.
She ended up bankrupt and ridiculed.
Oh, wow.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to win is to simply walk away from what you can't have.
Yeah.
Don't let envy consume you. Focus on what you can control and create your own path to success.
So true.
Now, Law 40, despise the free lunch, is a great reminder that there's no such thing as a free ride.
That's for sure.
It argues that paying your own way keeps you free from obligations and potential manipulation. It also highlights the power of generosity as a magnet for attracting power.
Yeah.
The book tells the story of Pietro Aretino, the Italian artist who, despite being practically broke, showered people with gifts and threw lavish parties. He understood that strategic generosity,
Yes.
even when it seemed counterintuitive, could elevate his status and influence.
Makes sense.
It's a reminder that true generosity isn't about expecting something in return. It's about creating genuine connections and building a reputation for being someone who gives freely. This, in turn, can attract opportunities and alliances that would otherwise be unavailable.
That's a good point.
You also shared Law 41, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes, which explores the challenges of following in the footsteps of a powerful predecessor.
Yes.
This one made me think about King Louis XV,
Yeah.
who inherited the throne from the legendary Louis XIV.
Yeah.
He had all the advantages, immense wealth, and a strong foundation, but he couldn't escape the shadow of his great-grandfather. He lacked the drive and ambition of his predecessor and ended up squandering his inheritance.
Right.
It's a cautionary tale about the weight of legacy and the importance of forging your own path, even when you're following in the footsteps of greatness.
Yes, it is.
It's a reminder that true success comes from embracing your own unique strengths and finding ways to differentiate yourself, even when you're building on the work of those who came before you.
That's an important takeaway.
And finally, let's talk about the importance of managing appearances with Law 46. Never appear too perfect.
Interesting.
This one really struck a chord with me because it highlights how even positive qualities can be perceived as threatening.
Right, yeah.
The book argues that appearing flawless can actually make you a target for envy and resentment.
It's true.
It tells the story of Michelangelo, who was commissioned by Pope Julius II to design his tomb. Michelangelo's rival, the architect Bramante, saw this commission as a threat to his own position and influence. Consumed by envy, Bramante convinced the Pope to give Michelangelo a different commission, painting the Sistine Chapel.
Oh, wow.
At the time, it seemed like a demotion, but Michelangelo turned this perceived setback into a triumph.
That's incredible.
It's a reminder that sometimes it's strategic to downplay your strengths and embrace a touch of imperfection. It can disarm your rivals and make you appear more relatable and approachable. But it also highlights the importance of channeling negative emotions like envy into fuel for creativity. Instead of letting envy consume you, use it as motivation to excel and prove your doubters wrong.
Yeah, I love that.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into the 48 laws of power.
We have. It's fascinating stuff.
But we've only just scratched the surface. There are so many more intriguing laws to explore, and we'll be diving into those in the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned.
See then. And now back to our deep dive into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Yes.
We're exploring how to navigate the subtle
Right.
and often unspoken rules of power dynamics. It's all about understanding the psychology of influence and persuasion.
This next law, recreate yourself, takes the idea of shaping perceptions to a whole new level.
It does.
It encourages us to shed the roles that society imposes on us and create new identities that command attention and captivate our audience.
Yeah, it's almost like personal branding, but with a more dramatic flair. Think of it as stepping onto a stage and crafting a persona that embodies your ambitions.
The book offers a compelling example in Julius Caesar.
Oh, yes.
He was a master of self-presentation using dramatic gestures, calculated pauses, and impeccable timing to enhance his public image. He understood the power of theatrics and carefully orchestrated his appearances to maximize their impact.
It's a reminder that how we present ourselves to the world can significantly influence how others perceive us and ultimately our success.
Another fascinating example is the French writer Aurore Dudevant, who adopted the male pseudonym George Sand. She completely transformed herself, even wearing men's clothing and smoking cigars.
Wow.
She recognized that in the male-dominated literary world of 19th century France, a male identity would grant her more freedom and authority.
And it worked. She became one of the most celebrated writers of her time, proving that sometimes reinventing yourself can be the key to breaking down barriers and achieving your goals.
Now, this next law, keep your hands clean, delves into the darker side of power dynamics.
It does.
It's about maintaining a spotless reputation while still achieving your objectives, even if it means delegating the less savory tasks.
Essentially, it's about plausible deniability and strategic delegation.
The book highlights the story of the Chinese general, Cao Cao, who faced a rebellion after his generals disobeyed orders, leading to a devastating defeat.
Oh, wow.
He could have easily lashed out, demanding punishment for their insubordination. But he chose a different path. He swallowed his anger, focused on regrouping his forces, and eventually crushed the rebellion.
That demonstrates a profound understanding of the long game. Cao Cao recognized that seeking immediate revenge would have weakened his authority and demoralized his troops.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most strategic move is to keep your cool. Focus on the bigger picture and choose your battles wisely.
That's true.
Now let's talk about disrupting expectations. With Law 17, keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability.
Oh, interesting.
This law is all about keeping your opponents guessing. By being unpredictable, you create a sense of unease and anxiety, which can be a powerful weapon.
I see.
The book offers the example of Stonewall Jackson, the American Civil War general, who was renowned for his unorthodox tactics. He would make these seemingly random movements, confusing his enemies and delaying their attacks.
Interesting.
This unpredictability gave him a tactical advantage.
Makes sense.
And bought him valuable time. Think of it like a poker game.
Yeah.
If your opponents can't anticipate your next move, they're at a significant disadvantage.
They are.
This principle can be applied to negotiations, business strategies, and even personal relationships. By keeping people guessing, you maintain a sense of control and make it difficult for them to undermine your efforts.
I like that.
Now, in the age of social media and personal branding, Law 1, never outshine the master, is more relevant than ever. It's about understanding the delicate balance of power in hierarchical relationships and knowing when to shine and when to step back.
The book cautions against making your superiors feel threatened or insecure. It's about making them look good and allowing them to take credit, even if you're the one doing the heavy lifting.
Remember the story of Nicolas Fouquet?
Oh, yeah.
The French finance minister who threw this lavish party for King Louis XIV. It was intended as a gesture of goodwill,
Yeah.
but was misinterpreted as a display of arrogance.
Wow.
Fouquet's extravagance threatened the king's ego,
Right.
and he was ultimately arrested and imprisoned.
Hmm.
It's a stark reminder that even when you have good intentions,
Right.
it's crucial to be mindful of the power dynamics at play
Yeah.
and avoid overshadowing those in positions of authority.
Another example is Galileo,
Yeah?
who made groundbreaking discoveries about the solar system that challenged the church's worldview.
His pursuit of truth,
Uh-huh.
while admirable, ultimately led to his persecution.
Right.
It highlights the importance of choosing your battles wisely
Mm.
and recognizing that sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.
Now, Law 28, enter action with boldness, might seem counterintuitive in light of the previous law.
All right.
But it's about recognizing when boldness is necessary. It emphasizes the importance of making a strong first impression
Right.
and establishing your presence, particularly in new situations.
The book shares the story of the Italian writer Pietro Aretino,
Yes.
who rose from humble beginnings
Yeah.
to become one of the most influential figures of his time.
Uh-huh.
He achieved this through a series of bold moves,
Right?
including writing scandalous poems and satires
Oh, wow.
that targeted the powerful elite.
His audacity got him noticed
Right.
and ultimately earned him a place at the table.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that calculated risks can pay off,
Right.
especially when you're trying to establish yourself.
But remember, boldness without strategy
Right.
is simply recklessness.
Exact.
Before making a bold move, carefully consider the potential consequences and make sure you have a plan in place.
Law 9, win through your actions, never through argument, is a timeless principle that applies to almost every aspect of life.
It's about understanding that actions
Right.
are far more persuasive than words.
Yeah.
Trying to convince someone through argument often backfires, leading to resentment and resistance. Instead, let your actions speak for themselves.
Show, don't tell.
The book offers a wonderful anecdote about Michelangelo,
Oh, yes.
who was commissioned to sculpt a statue of David.
Right.
The patron, Soderini,
Yeah.
kept criticizing Michelangelo's work, complaining that the nose was too big. Instead of arguing, Michelangelo came up with a clever solution.
I bet he did.
He pretended to make adjustments to the nose while secretly just dropping marble dust.
That's clever.
Soderini, believing that the nose had been fixed,
Yeah.
was completely satisfied.
Wow.
It's a brilliant example of how to win without engaging in a war of words. Sometimes, a subtle, non-verbal solution can be far more effective than a lengthy debate.
Law 3, conceal your intentions, is perhaps one of the most intriguing and controversial laws in the book. It's about keeping your true motives shrouded in mystery, making it difficult for your opponents to anticipate your moves.
The book uses the example of Otto von Bismarck, the Prussian statesman who masterminded the unification of Germany.
Right.
He carefully cultivated a public image that concealed his true ambitions. By playing his cards close to his chest, he was able to maneuver behind the scenes and achieve his goals without arousing suspicion.
This raises an interesting question.
It does.
How much of ourselves should we reveal to others?
Right.
It's a delicate balance. While transparency and authenticity are important, there are times when concealing your intentions can be beneficial, especially in competitive environments.
Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Is all about projecting an aura of authority, regardless of your actual title or position.
It's about embodying the qualities of a leader.
Right.
Confidence, dignity, and self-assuredness.
The book tells the story of King Amasis of Egypt,
Yeah.
who was originally a commoner before seizing power. He understood the importance of projecting an image of royalty and commissioned a golden foot bath,
Oh, wow.
inviting his guests to use it.
That's interesting.
It was a symbolic gesture that reinforced his newfound status and reminded everyone who was in charge.
It's like the saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
By projecting confidence and authority, you can influence how others perceive you and ultimately elevate your position. This law emphasizes that true leadership is about inspiring respect and loyalty, not through fear or intimidation, but through your demeanor and actions. This deep dive is really shedding light
It is.
on the multifaceted nature of power
Yeah.
and how it can be wielded in so many different ways.
It's fascinating.
It's not just about brute force or dominance.
Why?
It's about understanding the psychology of influence, persuasion, and perception.
It's complex.
There are still a few more laws to explore, but let's shift our focus now to some of the more strategic and tactical aspects of power dynamics.
Welcome back to our exploration of the 48 laws of power.
We've already uncovered some fascinating insights into the art of persuasion.
Yeah, deception and self-invention.
Now let's shift our focus to some of the more strategic and tactical principles for navigating this complex world of power dynamics.
I'm especially intrigued by Law 23, concentrate your forces.
Oh yeah, this one's a good one.
It emphasizes the importance of focusing your energy and resources on a single decisive point.
Right.
The book uses this brilliant analogy of sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. When those rays are scattered, they have little effect.
Right.
But when they're concentrated on a single point, they can generate intense heat.
It's a reminder that spreading yourself too thin can lead to mediocrity.
Yeah, you gotta focus.
It's far more effective to identify your key strengths and pour all your energy into developing them.
This reminds me of the story in the book about the Rothschild banking dynasty.
Oh yeah.
They faced incredible challenges, including prejudice and discrimination,
Right.
but they managed to build a financial empire by concentrating their forces.
They were smart.
They started by focusing on a single market in Frankfurt and gradually expanded their operations.
Uh-huh.
The key to their success was their unwavering unity and their ability to coordinate their efforts.
This is such a valuable lesson for entrepreneurs,
Oh, yeah.
artists, and anyone striving to achieve ambitious goals.
Absolutely.
Identify your core strengths, focus your efforts, and build a team of allies who can amplify your impact.
Yeah. Law 29, plan all the way to the end, is all about anticipating challenges and having a clear vision for the future.
Right. It's like playing chess.
Exactly.
You have to think several moves ahead and anticipate your opponent's counter moves.
The book argues that most people fail to plan far enough into the future.
I think that's true.
They get bogged down in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture.
This resonates with me because I've definitely fallen into that trap myself.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It's easy to get caught up in the immediate demands and lose sight of long-term goals.
The story of Christopher Columbus really illustrates this principle.
Okay.
He had this grand vision of sailing west to reach the Indies, a plan that many considered reckless.
Uh-huh.
But Columbus meticulously planned his voyage.
Yeah.
He secured funding from the Spanish monarchs, assembled a skilled crew, and negotiated his terms in advance.
Wow.
While he may not have anticipated landing in the Americas,
Right.
his thorough planning laid the foundation for his historic journey.
It's a reminder that even the most audacious goals can be achieved with careful planning and preparation.
For sure.
Think about your own aspirations.
Yeah.
What steps can you take today to pave the way for future success?
Law 15, crush your enemy totally, is perhaps one of the most controversial principles in the book.
This one's intense.
It argues that when you defeat an enemy, you shouldn't settle for a partial victory. You need to completely eliminate their ability to threaten you in the future.
I see.
The book uses the example of Genghis Khan,
Oh, yeah.
the Mongol conqueror known for his ruthlessness.
Right.
He believed that leaving any remnants of a defeated enemy would only invite future conflict.
That's a bold strategy.
While this approach may seem extreme,
It does.
it highlights the importance of being decisive and thorough when dealing with rivals or competitors.
Right.
It's not about being cruel,
Okay.
but about recognizing that sometimes a clean break is necessary to prevent future problems.
Of course, this law should be applied with caution and ethical considerations.
Oh, for sure.
It's not a license for violence or aggression.
Right.
But it's a reminder that in competitive situations, it's important to be strategic and to avoid leaving loose ends that could come back to haunt you.
Now let's dive into Law 39, stir up waters to catch fish.
I like that one.
This law is all about using chaos and confusion to your advantage.
It reminds me of the saying, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Exactly.
When your opponents are distracted or disoriented,
Yeah.
they're more susceptible to your influence.
The book offers the example of Daniel Drew, the American robber baron who manipulated the stock market.
Right.
He understood that in a chaotic market, people tend to make irrational decisions.
Yeah.
And he could profit from their panic.
It's a reminder that even in seemingly stable environments, there are opportunities to create disruption and gain an advantage.
It's true.
This doesn't mean you should deliberately create chaos,
Right.
but it does mean you should be aware of how external events can shift the balance of power and be prepared to capitalize on those shifts.
Law 4, always say less than necessary, highlights the power of silence and restraint.
Interesting.
In a world that often prizes extroversion and constant communication,
Right.
this law encourages us to be more strategic with our words.
Okay.
The book argues that when you talk too much, you risk revealing too much information.
Yes.
You also risk appearing foolish or insecure.
Makes sense.
King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King, was known for his enigmatic silence.
Oh,
He understood that by saying little, he commanded more attention and respect.
that's powerful.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statements are made through nonverbal cues,
Right.
through our actions and our presence.
This principle can be applied to negotiations,
Oh, yeah,
presentations, and even everyday conversations.
absolutely.
Think about how you can use silence to create intrigue,
Mm.
emphasize key points, and command respect.
This brings us to Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one.
This is a good one.
This law is all about projecting an aura of authority, regardless of your actual title or position.
Yeah.
It's about embodying the qualities of a leader, even if you're not officially in charge.
Right.
The book tells the story of King Amasis of Egypt, who was originally a commoner.
I remember that story.
He understood the importance of appearances and commissioned a golden foot bath for his guests. This symbolic gesture reinforced his newfound status and reminded everyone who was in charge.
It's a reminder that how we present ourselves can significantly influence how others perceive us.
Absolutely.
This law isn't about being arrogant or pretentious.
Right.
It's about cultivating confidence, dignity, and self-assuredness.
Mm-hmm.
By projecting these qualities, you can command respect and influence, even if you're not in a position of formal authority.
And finally, let's explore Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person.
This is so important.
This law highlights the importance of social intelligence and understanding the nuances of human behavior.
Right.
People react differently to the same stimuli. What might work with one person could backfire spectacularly with another.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The book tells the story of Prince Chang'e, who was offered poisoned meat by a rival ruler.
Oh, okay.
Instead of reacting with anger, Chang'e accepted the meat, graciously ate a piece, and continued on his journey.
Wow.
This act of restraint ultimately served him well.
That's amazing.
It's a reminder that we need to be aware of the different personalities and motivations of those around us.
Right.
Pick your battles carefully.
Yeah.
Don't waste your energy on petty squabbles or those who are beneath you.
Okay.
Save your wrath for those who truly deserve it.
So there you have it. A deep dive into some of the most intriguing and insightful laws from the 48 Laws of Power.
It's a book that can be read and reread,
Right.
each time revealing new layers of meaning.
I agree.
It's a reminder that power is everywhere in our personal relationships,
Yeah.
our professional lives, and in the seemingly mundane interactions of everyday life. By understanding the principles outlined in this book, we can become more aware of the forces at play and make more strategic decisions in all aspects of our lives.
I think that's the key takeaway here.
Remember, power is neither inherently good nor evil.
Right.
It's a tool that can be used for both constructive and destructive purposes.
It's all about how you use it.
The choice is ultimately ours.
As we conclude this deep dive,
Yeah.
I encourage you to reflect on these laws and consider how they might apply to your own life.
Which principles resonate with you?
How can you use this knowledge to navigate the complexities of power dynamics with greater awareness and skill?
The most important takeaway is this: knowledge is power.
And by understanding the rules of the game, you can choose how you want to play.